of a 3-day challenge that is warming up my computer. And I will be live shortly. Well, hello, good morning, good evening, good day. It's mostly evening for most of the people that I know that have signed up for the challenge. I am so glad to see you. I'm making sure my second voice doesn't echo through the screen. Well, welcome to Inherited Property Now What? We are on day 3 of this challenge. It's a 3-day challenge in which I'm giving some inside secrets and sharing most of my personal experiences with inheriting property, as well as some real life applications on people I have helped who have been in the process of inheriting property. Now, before we go into the contents of day 1, I want to do a short recap of day 1 and 2 before we go into day 3. So day 1 was all about conversation. When you consider inherited property, there needs to be conversations about, let me turn down my second voice going in the background. Apologize. Okay, now I've muted it. Day 1, we talked about conversations. Conversations have to do with having a discussion between the people that you love, the people that you care about, that you either plan to receive an inheritance from, or you plan to gift an inheritance to. Those conversations sometimes are difficult. As I said in day 1, having those conversations are much needed. However, I know personally, I don't like having conversations about what to do with other people's assets or even with my assets as I plan to leave. But we all have an expiration date, correct? We all have an expiration date. So although we won't be here forever, we get to take territory or take dominion as kingdom citizens. Now, you may hear me say some language that you're saying, well, what is she talking about? Well, I am a kingdom entrepreneur, and I believe that as an entrepreneur, if you're an entrepreneur, that you are planning to acquire territory, right? Through real estate, through other resources. So in that aspect, that's the language that I'm using. As you acquire, you can't take it with you. So that is the reason why I thought it would be very appropriate to share my experience with you, share my experience personally as well as professionally. As a licensed real estate broker, I've been licensed for 28 years in the state of Washington. I also am in the process of getting my license in the state of Wisconsin. And the reason for that has to do with the property in which I have inherited, happens to be in Wisconsin. So we talked about those conversations on day 1, and I want to encourage you to go back and think about who you need to have conversations with. Every family is unique. Some families are fractured. Some families get along very well. So you know your own dynamics. Go back, have those conversations. If it looks like someone needs to maybe take the higher road and do some forgiving to have those conversations, then so be it. But whatever you need to do to make things right in this life before the next life, I want to encourage you to do that. Day 2, we talked about you need to have a plan. In order to move forward with an inheritance, whether you're receiving it or giving it, you need to have a plan. Thinking this out in advance is most helpful to you so that you will be able to leave a legacy for your children's children. Now, if you have not received an inheritance, then maybe you are going to be the giver. The Bible says it's more blessed to give than it is to receive. So I am looking for my opportunity to give more than I have received. I have received an inheritance, but I want to give so much more. So think about the action steps that you need, the plan that you need to devise, or the plan you need to create in order to come up with your inheritance plan. Now, when I talked about that yesterday, I went over SMART goals. SMART goals, I spelled out what each letter stands for and how we are to apply it when it comes to inheritance. So the S was specific. It needs to be specific. You need to know exactly what you are planning to receive or give. I know in the state of Washington, and probably in most states, you need to have what's called a legal description. It needs to be a legal bona fide property. You don't want to think you're acquiring or giving away a property on X Street, and it turns out you have a description for a property on Y Street. So it needs to be very specific in terms of what you're planning to inherit or you're planning to give away. The next acronym or the next initial in SMART is M. It needs to be measurable. How are you going to measure this? Are you planning to leave one property? Are you planning to leave a multitude of properties? And I also talked about it's beyond real estate. Although my expertise is in real estate, you could leave an inheritance in terms of stocks. You could leave an inheritance in terms of paper assets. You can leave inheritance in terms of funds in the bank. And I even talked yesterday briefly about leaving an inheritance like a blessing over your family, over your child, whatever that is. I talked about the Elisha and Elijah, or vice versa, where there was a blessing. We talked about, or I spoke about Jacob and was Esau, how Jacob stole Esau's birthright with the soup. He tricked him about the soup. And Jacob received the blessing from his father. And so the father passed on that blessing, and that was his inheritance. So the question is, what are you planning to receive as an inheritance? But better yet, what are you planning to give as an inheritance? So that is the M, measurable. The next one is A, and it needs to be attainable. Is it something that you can actually attain, or are you thinking beyond your capacity? I know I can, well, I'm not going to say I know I can, but it's highly unlikely that I can attain a skyscraper in New York when I've never lived in New York. I don't know anything about cost of real estate there. And I don't have the liquidated funds to be able to acquire it right now. So is it attainable? Is this something that I could see in my future happening? Do I see myself owning property in another state, New York, high rent district, high price, high cost? Do I see that? Is that attainable? Maybe not. The next acronym or the next letter in SMART is R. Is it realistic? Is this realistic? Do I think this will really happen? Or am I just throwing up ideas just because it's something that sounds good? Or is it realistic? Is it something that's real that I can do, that I can plan? And it doesn't have to just be you. I talked yesterday that we are spiritual beings, and we have, those of us who believe, we have the Spirit of God inside of us. So we get to co-create because He breathed life into us. We get to breathe life into what we create. So we get to co-create with Him. So is it realistic? And then the last letter in the word SMART is time. It's time bound. Is it going to happen tomorrow? Is it going to happen next year? Is it going to happen today? When is this going to happen? Time-bound event. So that was what we discussed yesterday. Now today, I want to break into some resources. Who would like to know some resources on how you can either, one, receive an inheritance, or two, give an inheritance? Let me see if I have anyone that can respond to that. What would you like to give, or what would you like to receive? Now, I'll answer that question for myself. I would like to give property to each of my children and each of my grandchildren. And I want to have a fund set aside for my great-grandchildren because I want to be able to leave an inheritance for my children's children. So I want to go beyond what the Bible talks about leaving an inheritance. I want to go beyond if it's at all possible. I believe it is. I believe that is a smart goal. Now I need to quantify that in terms of an action plan. What exactly am I going to do? And I need to know what resources, right? What resources are available. So I want to take a pause right here because I want to remind everyone who is watching or will watch in the replay that I have created a workbook, and I would attempt to share, but I'm afraid my screen might freeze because my memory is low on the computer, and I'll get that fixed on the next challenge. But right now, for those of you who can look in a Facebook group, or I have messaged you a sample of the front page of the workbook, I created a workbook that can accompany this challenge. And the workbook is something that I created as a helpful resource that you can use. And I wanted to also help a friend who is grieving right now because she lost her son to suicide. So all of the contributions from the workbook that is sold will go to the John Redmond IV. Let's see if you can see that. John Redmond IV. It will go in memory. He has a memorial. His mother has created a memorial fund for him. And it's a grassroots effort so that no other mother or parent has to deal with the loss of a child or adult child through suicide. And so what I have discovered in my own personal life is that children, adults, they're not children anymore, right? When they become adults, we train them, we teach them, we help them to understand, how to navigate life, but eventually they grow up and they make their own decisions. The Bible says, train a child in the way they should go and they will not depart from it. Well, sometimes they depart from it. Sometimes we end up with prodigals, right? Prodigals. If you're not familiar with that term, it's basically a story from the Bible about a prodigal son. I'm not saying that he was a prodigal. I'm just saying in general, what I've found in my own personal life is that we raise them and we think they're going to follow this certain path, but they get to choose how they want to live their life. They get to choose what they want to believe. They get to choose all of these different things. And sometimes they make choices that they can't come back from. And so this is a grassroots effort. It's the John Redmond IV Memorial Fund. And if you purchase the workbook costs $7. If you purchase the workbook, then you will be saving lives. If you purchase the workbook, believe me, you will be saving lives because 100% of the proceeds will go to the fund. You may say, well, what's $7? Well, $7 can save a life because the resources that can get out to the young people that need it is powerful. It's powerful. It could be, I won't go into the details because it's not my nonprofit, it's not my fund, but I do know that this is a legitimate fund. It's a friend of mine who is, as I say, grieving. So I hope you will help me. And I hope if you've purchased the book, thank you. If you purchased the workbook, thank you very much. If you have not, it's not too late. Even though today is day 3, this challenge will stay up until day 5, which will be Monday at midnight. It'll stay up. So those of you who want to purchase the workbook, I'll go live again and kind of talk a little bit more about the workbook as well as the fund. I'll do that between today and tomorrow. Well, today is kind of late, but I'll still go on Facebook and give a little more feedback. And maybe, just maybe, I'll have his mother come on and we'll do a little short clip because she's in town and I did get a chance to meet with her and fellowship with her. Very, very sweet lady. So I'm hoping that I can get an interview with her. That would be great. And then you could see where the vision is concerning that. So purchase the workbook. It's a 30-page workbook. It goes over day 1, 2, and 3. It also has day 4 and 5, which is the VIP session, which I posted in the Facebook group. There will be 5 people that I'll have together in a small group for a VIP session. And you may be asking yourself, well, what are we going to be talking about in a VIP session? Well, it's going to be tailor-made to go over these concepts on a small group. And this group won't be posted. So some of you don't want to go live. You don't want to be showing your faces. And I understand. And so I have heard that. And now I want to be able to meet with you in a smaller group that's not going to be posted on Facebook, just a smaller group that if you choose as a group that you want the recording to go to you, then that's fine. But we'll work out those details within the group because I want to keep the integrity of the group small. And that's why I've limited to 5 people. So 5 people will get together with me in a small group, and I'll be able to help you tailor something that works for you. So think of the questions that you want to ask if you're in a particular situation or know of someone that's going through, maybe someone who is about to pass away, or you're thinking about yourself, because as I said, we all have limited time here on Earth, planet Earth, and we get to take territory while we're here. And then when we're gone, we get to leave it. Hopefully we get to leave it behind to someone that can create and have a legacy for us. Now, I also talked about on day 1, I was just reminded of this, that I talked about some ditches. There are some ditches that you can fall into when it comes to inherited property. You can fall into the ditch of taxes, inheritance tax, or you can fall into the ditch of probate. And I talked about that in kind of detail on day 1, but I'll kind of recap a little bit of that. The ditch of probate has to do with not having a life insurance policy. So that's one way to solve that problem. And the ditch of inheritance tax, you can resolve that by 1, coordinating your assets, your meeting with a tax attorney or a estate planner so that you can plan this out before you pass away. And that's the key to avoid that sort of tax, because basically it's a tax on you receiving what's already been paid for. The way to avoid that is to make arrangements before the person passes away. And that can be a number of ways. So now I want to start talking about some of these resources. Who's excited about hearing some of the resources that's needed if you want to inherit a property and know what to do next? Who's excited? Okay, so one of the first things I mentioned on day 1, and this is one of your resources, is a will. That's one of your resources, is a will. So if you do not have a will, better yet, if you do not have an updated will, that is one of your resources. Now, you can create the will yourself, independent. You can have it notarized. That's probably the best, to have it notarized by someone else that's not a party to receiving anything that's on the will. Do that. That's one key. Now, if you want to know what should be included in a will, you can go on YouTube and there are step-by-step procedure, and it's free, right? Go on YouTube. The second one I want to kind of go a little bit more into has to do with life insurance. Now, I mentioned this, I believe, yesterday, and I used the words age out of life insurance. What that means is if you're elderly and you purchase life insurance, you can actually get to a point where you age out of it. You're too old to capture the life insurance. I met with some clients 2 days ago, and that's exactly what they told me. They're in their 80s, I want to say mid 80s, and they said, we got a call from my life insurance policy, our life insurance company, saying we just have to discontinue your life insurance. You've paid into it, but there's nothing there for you because there's different types of life insurance. You can get a term life insurance, which is just what it says. It's just for a certain term, 20 years, 30 years, 10 years, 5 years, whatever the amount is, you can get life insurance for a term. There's other types of life insurance. One is whole life, and that's what this couple said they had, whole life insurance. So what that means is there's a portion that is specifically for life insurance, and then there's a portion that gets invested. Now, there's pros and cons to those, and I'm not a life insurance expert, so that is one of your resources to find out what is the best life insurance for you. When I met with an estate planner, I actually at one time had maybe 4 different life insurance policies. Now that may be excessive. I had a term, I had whole life, and then I think it's stated. There's another one. I can't remember what the name of it is. And I thought about this yesterday, but it's a different type of life insurance where you actually build up investments as well. Whole life is not as, you don't invest as much in that as you do in this third type of life insurance policy. But the point is life insurance. Meet with a life insurance agent and find out what's the best option for you. Now, when you look at that, you want to look at what do I have that I don't want to leave behind in terms of debt? Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to have someone inherit your debt, right? I know I would not have wanted to inherit debt from my father, right? My father left me an inheritance, but had he left me debt, my mindset would have been a little different about inheritance, don't you think? So when you think about your life insurance policy, you want to think about paying off certain things. So if you still have a mortgage on your house, yes, you're planning on leaving that house, but if there's still a mortgage and there's no ability to pay it off, meaning you have insurance that's, I'm just going to give a round number, you have insurance for $100,000 and your house has a mortgage balance of $150,000. Something just doesn't match up. So that means that part of the $100,000 that's going to be received in the life insurance policy is going to have to go toward paying down the debt on the house. Excuse me. So consider that. Excuse me. Consider that when you are thinking about your life insurance policy that you're setting up. Sorry about that, just a second. Hydration is important. I think I should have hydrated a lot before I started talking. But life insurance, make sure you know what you owe debt-wise, and that debt is covered so that you actually leave something in terms of inheritance, not just enough, right? I'm not thinking in terms of lack, I'm thinking in terms of abundance, because I believe the Father is abundant. So let's not think lack, let's think, okay, I want this covered and I want to leave an inheritance, right? Or I want to receive an inheritance. So when I mentioned this yesterday, when I consulted with my friend whose mother was terminally ill, she asked me some questions and I asked her some questions. But one question to consider, her mother didn't owe anything on the home that she had, which made it a lot easier for her to come up with numbers. She didn't have a life insurance policy. She didn't have a will. So in the absence of those two protections, she needed to take action before her mother passed away. And so action, action, action is the word for today. So if those dates are coming up for you, meaning those dates in which I'm calling them dates, if those times, if those events are coming up where my friend was diagnosed with cancer, pretty terminal. They said they had never seen anyone live beyond a certain period of time with that terminal cancer. But if you hear those sort of things, that kind of ignites you to take action. So when those events occur, that's usually when people want to take action. But knowing what you know now, you can actually take action before these things happen, before you get the announcement. I happen to be a cancer survivor myself. It was 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. Now, I did have my will in place. I did have life insurance in place. So I felt pretty good about if I were to pass away, I would be able to make sure that the assets I left behind were covered. And at the time that I was diagnosed with cancer, my will was outdated. Yeah, my will was outdated. So really, I'm preaching now to the choir because it's important to update the will. Now, I was pretty confident that I was going to come through and that I would be here to tell this story. Yet, I should not have gambled with my life like that. I won't use the word should because I don't like should, but now that I know better, because I've seen people in different scenarios, now that I know better, I'm going to do better in terms of making sure that everything's covered. But since that time, I've increased my insurance because I've increased my assets. Does that make sense? So if you start acquiring more property, if you start acquiring more debt, then that's something in the big picture to consider when it comes to inheritance. Now, I think the best inheritance is the blessing. If you know of someone that has a prophetic word for you, like I believe there's spiritual mothers and fathers, just like we have earthly, natural mothers and fathers, right? So I believe you could also have a spiritual mother or father that speaks prophetically over you and provides you some insight on the inheritance that you will have, right? And that's something we don't really talk about in this industry when it comes to real estate. It's pretty much cut and dry. It's, hey, it's in and out. It's like debits and credits, if you will. There's relationships that are built. There's relationships when it comes to inherited property. When I talked about conversations, sometimes those conversations can't even be had because people aren't speaking to one another. The mother's not talking to the daughter's not talking to the mother. I've been in that scenario. That's not a fun place to be. But having those conversations are important because life is too precious and too short to be hung up on offenses. So I'm preaching to the choir, okay? So life is too short to be hung up on situations that in the full spectrum means nothing. Now, I talked about insurance. I talked about having a will. Now, one of the other key, I'd say very key, I kind of talked around it, is having an estate planner. Now, an estate planner could be a licensed estate planner, or you could have what's called a tax attorney who also does estate planning. Why do I say that? If you have an estate planner that also does tax planning, then you can also set up protections such as a trust, protections such as an LLC, protections such as a corporation. All of those protections you can set up. It's almost like a one-stop shop. One-stop shop. And I happen to know both estate planners that are licensed estate planners, and I happen to know tax attorneys that are also estate planners. And I happen to have gone through some of the steps in which I can provide a detailed approach on how you can get the end result that you want. And that is what the people in the VIP session will get. Because I think it's important for you that are listening to know that it's so much more that's involved in taking action when it comes to inheritance. Now, I also know that there is a place that you can search online, and I've done this before. It's called unclaimed property. Have you ever heard of that? Unclaimed property. So that's another resource. Just write that down. So you got the estate planner, you got the tax attorney that's also doing estate planning, and then you could do your search online for unclaimed property. When you look online for unclaimed property, sometimes there's people that don't have people to pass things on to. It may go into probate, all these various things could happen, and there's property out there waiting to be claimed. Maybe there's property out there waiting for you to claim for your inheritance. I don't know, just saying. But that is another resource that you can use. I want to take a quick stop and see if there's any questions. And I do know that on this particular challenge, notifications seem to be very slow and lagging in Facebook. So what I will do for all of you who signed up to the challenge, I'll make sure I send an email out with some recaps or replays, because that I did not do. I was just thinking everybody would come back to the group and watch the replays, but that has not necessarily, as they say, that's not necessarily so. So I want to make sure that all get an opportunity to hear what's being spoken. So that is, just want to do a quick check. Any questions? I don't see any, and that is fine. I'll just keep on going. So we're talking about resources and coming up with your own action plan. Now, whether you decide to come and work with me in the VIP session to develop your action plan, or if you want to create it on your own, because you have those resources. You have your insurance broker that you can call and find out. And when I talked about insurance, I didn't just mention life insurance, but there's other types of insurance that you can get to cover your assets, one of which is an umbrella policy. And I believe Pedro Adele talked about this in the 818 challenge. If you hadn't heard of Pedro Adele, he's one of my mentors, and he actually taught this framework on challenges, and that's what this is, a challenge. And so he talked about an umbrella policy, which is a policy that covers everything. So it covers your auto, it covers your home, it covers your life. I mean, it's just an extra policy of protection to cover. So insurance, even though you're paying for it, it's just what the name says. It insures in case something happens. Excuse me. I keep having a dry mouth. Excuse me. So insurance is that added protection for you. And then the estate planner. If you're not familiar with what estate planners do, they look at everything. And it may feel a little embarrassing. I know when I met with the estate planner, I really didn't want to share all of these things, but in order for them to help you and to provide the plan that works best for you so that you can have funds in your retirement and have funds to leave behind, it's a necessary thing to do. So meet with an estate planner. Now you may be thinking, okay, I don't really have a lot to put in an estate. Well, the estate planner helps you build a plan because remember you set those SMART goals. Remember you said there are some things that you're thinking about doing or some things that have been done and you want to kind of navigate for the future. All of those go into the plan. Now, maybe you don't already have stocks. Maybe you don't already have these assets, these accounts, but you need to have a plan in order to build to that point. Make the plan, make it plain, put it in writing, even if it's you sitting down journaling that plan. In the workbook, journal your plan. Start creating that vision, right? The vision statement of what it is you want to achieve in terms of inheriting property or leaving property as an inheritance for who you leave behind. Okay. So let's see. I want to maybe go into some of the VIP and the offer. Okay. So with the VIP, I posted it in the group. The VIP is only for 5 people because I want to have a small, intimate group. And I know personally how I am when it comes to large groups. Large groups, I tend to sit back and not raise my hand and ask any questions. And maybe you're like me. You would rather hear from other people and learn from maybe their mistakes instead of you presenting something that might sound like it's a mistake. Well, there's no mistakes when it comes to learning about inherited property. There's no mistakes about wondering and asking questions when it comes to what you want to receive or what you want to get. Because the worst question to ask is no question at all. That is not even possible. So there are no bad questions. So it gives you an opportunity to just be in an intimate, well, I use the word intimate. I don't mean that in a weird way. We have a small group that will meet together and we'll go over specifically those plans. So tonight I will be in the messenger group going over each and every one of you that are in the group and maybe going back to some of my other groups, letting them know that this is available because I'm offering it to you first because you've been here, you've heard me, you know what's going on. So I think you are the best ones to hear from this small group on an action plan that we can put together. I can assist you with. And if you're in another state or another country, I can help you with the resources. So there's nothing that we can't do in that group together to point you in the right direction so that you can take action on your inheritance plan. So that's the VIP. And remember that starts tomorrow evening at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So this is a 3-day challenge. Today is day 3. So after this, you can continue to watch the replays for 2 more days. And for those of you who are in the VIP, if you choose to level up even more, then I will have only 3 people. So the numbers get smaller. You notice only 3 people that I will do a one-on-one. That means it's just you and I on our personal Zoom link together where we go over in detail, excruciating detail. Well, it won't be excruciating, but we'll go into detail and unveil your personal plan, your personal challenges that you're having in creating this plan. And that is more in depth. And I can only do 3 people because I'm only one person and I have a business and a family. So I want to be cognizant of your time as well as my time and be able to give you the attention that you need. So with that offer, that's 3 people only, and the charge for that is $197. Now, the value of 1 hour of my time, I can tell you it's a lot more than that. The value in which I'll be providing is hundreds of thousands of dollars because of what I've gone through to experience the level of breakthrough that I have. So, but I want to give that for some ridiculous price of $197. And again, that's only for 3 people. And I'll post a little bit more information on that in the group, as well as messaging. I think that might be more effective, messaging people in the group. So if you're hearing this, just know that you'll receive a message from me in the Facebook Messenger about this offer, both the VIP offer, which is for 5 people, and the one-on-one. And so what you'll be receiving in the one-on-one is basically a clarity call. That's part of the time. You'll receive some coaching and consulting during that call. I'm actually in the process of becoming 100X certified. I've gone through the bachelor program in 100X, and I am also working toward my consulting degree. So there's a bachelor's and a master's degree. So with all of that experience, as well as my life experience being a real estate broker owner of my own company, as well as my own experience owning, investing, receiving, and preparing an inheritance, all of that together, that you get with me one-on-one. You get to have your own personal, individual time and attention. And I will schedule that on a calendar for us to be. So that is what you will be receiving in terms of the VIP and the offer. Now, are there any questions on either of those? If not, then we will go on to, we talked about estate planning. Okay, I briefly mentioned this, but it had to do with a blessing. Now, I don't know about how you feel about blessings. I think it's great to be blessed. It's certainly a lot better than being cursed, right? And so a blessing, I happen to have been in a conference, let's see, it was last year. I think I was in a conference last year. And it's interesting because this verse was spoken over me, and my friend Nadia actually said this verse right before we started today. And that verse, I want to say that over you, all of you who are listening. I'm going to pull it up on my phone so that I could speak it over you and re-speak it over myself. It is in the book of Jeremiah, and it is Jeremiah 33:3. I'm going to find it and read that over you. So here we go. Jeremiah, here we go. Jeremiah 33:3. Okay, here we go. This happens to be King James. Let me see if I want to change the version. I'll do the NIV version, okay? Okay, Jeremiah 33:3. Call to me, and I will answer you and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know. So what is it that we do not know about a plan to create an inheritance? What is it that we don't know? Yes, we know about insurance. Yes, we know about estate planning. Yes, we know about wills. Yes, we know these tangible things, but what are the intangible things, the blessings that are out there waiting on us? What about those blessings that we don't know about? It says unsearchable things. So I'm doing the searching, right? I'm finding all these things, but what is it that is unsearchable that we cannot find? And that is what we get to tap into with the one-on-one. So the one-on-one is going to be a level higher than just the searchable things. It's going to be higher than that. So I'm excited about that for you, those of you who want to go into that deeper session with me on those unsearchable things. Yes, we'll still tackle the searchable things, but we're going to invite the Holy Spirit for those unsearchable things. because there will be things that will be revealed to you that will help you accelerate this offer. It'll help you accelerate the plan that's needed for you. So I'm excited about that. That's something I've never offered before, and it has to do with my growth as I continue to do these challenges. This is my 12th challenge. And as I continue to do them, I invite the Holy Spirit to help me in processing this information to you. Yes, I can just go step by step and give you an outline, throw up slides. I have provided a workbook. The workbook has a purpose in this challenge. It also has a value that's tied to a mission to help save young people from suicide. So all these things are connected. There are some unsearchable things that are out there for you. What are they? I don't know. There's some unsearchable things for me. I don't know. But I'm on this journey. And as I go each time, there's new revelations that are revealed. So what new revelations are you expecting? Are you open to receiving it? Are you open to receive the revelations that are coming? Because they will come if you are open. I heard on the way in today, and I can't remember who said it, but when you give, you give with an open hand, right? You give with an open hand, and you also receive with an open hand. But when you take and you hoard and you hold, you have what's called a clenched fist. And so I'm inviting you to an open hand. This is an extension of my hand to you as an offer of help, an offer to help you move on to a level of expertise, a level of revelation, a level of knowledge that you've never known before. And it's not all coming from me. As I said in that one-to-one, it's going to be a spiritual connection, not just a knowledge, not just a searchable. It's going to be an unsearchable opportunity. And I'm excited on what is going to be revealed for you. It's almost as though I'm a kid in a candy store waiting. Hey, what are they going to receive? What is it? I'm excited for you. And it's said, I've heard it said before, and forgive me, I don't know who said it, is that, I think it's Pedro Adale or Suzette Adale. They said that love, Pedro said it, love is the number one business strategy. And whoever loves the most wins. So I'm looking at an opportunity to share my love for what I do and my love for you. Because my love for you is what allows me to have an open hand. It allows me to have an open hand and an open heart. An open hand and an open heart. Because life is precious. Life is short. I was just thinking this year has just zoomed by. We're already in October. Can you believe it? We're already in October. Some people are going to start making their New Year's resolutions. Some people are starting their business plans. But when do you think a plan should start? When should you start a plan, or what's the best time to start a plan? I've heard it say, what's the best time to build something? What's the best time to create something? What's the best time? Do you know what the answer is? The very best time is before you need it. The second best time is now when you hear about it. Third best time is when it's too late. So let's not let it be too late. Let's not let this opportunity pass you by. This is an opportunity for you to press in to something unsearchable. Can't look for it on the internet, not going to find it. Google won't find it. YouTube can't find it. It's not going to be there. Type in unsearchable things. I wonder, I should do that, but I can't imagine. Unsearchable is just that, unsearchable. It's something that we get to partner with the Holy Spirit in that. So that one is, as they say, that one's a God thing. So that one-on-one, that one, that's a God thing. That's only for 3 people. And the time that we spend on that, I'm not even going to put a limit on that. However long it takes for the breakthrough. However long it takes for the breakthrough. Because your breakthrough will be my breakthrough. When you break through, when you succeed, when you have this unsearchable thing, it's going to be, I'm going to be excited. Of course, you're going to be excited. I can't wait. I can't wait for this opportunity to share, to co-partner, to, he says where 2 or 3 are gathered, he's in the midst. So he's in the midst. Whether you're a believer or not, maybe that's your opportunity to take a step of faith, a leap of faith, to understand there's a King of Kings and a Lord of Lords, and we get to make a petition to the throne, right? And ask for those unsearchable things. Ask for, what is it I need to do right now? Because I don't know. Some of us may not even know what it is we need to do. That's why that verse is so important. So important. Call to me and I will answer you. Call to me and I will answer you. Not me. He will answer you and tell you. So you'll get feedback. Tell you unsearchable things you do not know. I couldn't put this sort of post on Facebook, even though it's a private group. You want to know why? Because they're not trying to hear this. Not trying to hear this. But it needs to be said. So I'm saying it. This is an opportunity for you to hear from God. That's really what it is. It's an opportunity to hear from God on those unsearchable things. Those unsearchable things. I have had this opportunity with one student before. And I'm going to let her share her testimony on this group. Because I think it's important to know this is not fabricated. This is not made up. This is not speculative. This is real. In fact, the spiritual world is more real than the physical world. We are spiritual beings, right? We're spiritual beings living in a body with a soul, right? Our mind, our emotions, that's really our soul. And so we are really more than what the eyes can see. It took me a while to come to that revelation about myself, let alone about sharing that with others. And it's important to share. We share on Facebook, we share on social media, we share. But when we come off and we share the most important thing, which has to do with our salvation, my salvation, possibly yours, this is an invitation. It's an invitation to go into the secret place and to find out what are these unsearchable things. And it's about inheritance because something will be left behind. Will it go into the right hands? Is there something that's already out there for you that you don't even know about? Maybe. I don't know because I can't speak for what's going to be revealed to you. I don't pre-plan that. This is this is opportunity. This is an opportunity. And if you want to join me on that, the sooner you decide, the better, because we'll go on that journey together. And as I said, I don't really have a time frame on that because I didn't know until today that that's what I was going to offer. That's just how God works. He's given this to me to give to you as an opportunity to hear from him on how he wants to move in this space of inherited property. Now what? He knows the what. I can search the what out and give you all the steps and all the things, but it's more to it than that. A lot more. And he wants to reveal it to you. Now you can get together with him and go on this journey and find out. And that is awesome. I hope you do. I hope you do. And we can go on it together because where two or three are gathered, it's like a three-strand cord is not easily broken. We need relationships. We need partnerships. We need mentors. We need growth. We need help. Sometimes we just need help. Really. Sometimes we just need help. I know sometimes I just need help. I can't do it myself, right? So those unsearchable things, that's the journey we will go on, the unsearchable things. So that is the offer. 3 people, $197, unlimited time, one-on-one, until the breakthrough. That's it. Now I got 2 minutes left, so I want to recap on the workbook offer. The workbook offer is going to continue to stay on the page. Even when the other videos go away, I will leave that on the page. And the workbook is in memory of, let's see if I can get it straight. In memory of John Redmond IV, young man who passed away earlier this year from suicide and unexpected. I mean, I don't think people expect. It's unexpected. And the mother, who's a friend of mine, doesn't want this to happen to another child, adult. I mean, he was 30. It just turned 30. Don't want that to ever happen. And there's a movement in the making to reclaim our lost prodigals, right? There's a movement that's in a groundswell. I see it in my own family where young adults just, they question their faith. They question everything. And that's human, natural to do that and go on your self-discovery mission. However, there's missions that you don't come back from. And this happened to be one. He can't come back to tell us what was going on. There's things we can put in place to stop that from happening to another person. So the $7 that you provide for the workbook is saving lives. 100% of that will go to the John Redmond IV Fund. You are not alone. And you are not alone. We are not alone. This is day 3 of inherited property. Now what? And that's the question for you. Now what? Are you going to join the VIP? Are you going to purchase a workbook? Are you going to go on an unsearchable opportunity? I hear the word pregnant possibilities. So there are pregnant possibilities in you. The question is, will you give birth to them? Or will you hold on to it with a clenched fist? Extend your hands out. I'm just going to pray over this and close this out. Day 3, thank you, Father, for this opportunity to pour into the hearers of this inherited property. Now what? God, I pray that you bless every purchaser of the workbook and that those funds will be the groundswell, that they are the groundswell of an opportunity to reclaim a younger generation, Father, a lost prodigal generation. And for those who are going into the VIP, that we get to unlayer some plans that they have for their own inheritance or inheritance that they want to give and leave for their children's children. And Father, I'm praying for those 3 people that are going to say yes to the opportunity to go on an unsearchable journey into what you have for them, and that they will hear from you. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, people. Good night.